JJ Astorquia, the president of Bluebird Home Loans. This is the Leading the Industry podcast, and I'm here with the CEO of our parent company here, Josh Erskine. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Looking forward to it.
We just wanted to chat a little bit today about how Bluebird came about. What is Bluebird? How do we work together with our parent company? Tell us a little bit about what your role is and what the family of companies looks like.
You know, in any markets, there's opportunities to create segments of businesses that serve a specific purpose. And I think the idea behind Bluebird is that it's a local Idaho-based mortgage bank, of which our role in that is to be the partner on the operating side. We have experience running multiple mortgage companies, to guide, to add financial capacity, to lead, and to give all the resources that we have in the retail company and the other companies to Bluebird to be able to grow with a focus on the Idaho community to start.
Awesome. Yeah, we man, it seems like just yesterday, but we've been working with Aaron and the entire Silver Creek team for about 2.5 years. I remember, I don't know if it was just a company meeting or what we had, where you started talking about joint ventures and kind of how they worked, and it really got me thinking, and just got an introduction with Aaron, and took a little while to court through that process. It's pretty amazing how often Aaron had been approached for this sort of partnership, if you will. Maybe speak to why our joint ventures you feel are different than others that in the industry.
There's a lot of reasons that I think that our platform, at least at this time, is a premier platform. Everything starts with transparency, in the same way that obviously you got accustomed to leading one of the more successful branches in the country for OneTrust Home Loans. Being a partner is to start about doing what you say.
Right.
And my experience over the last few years of looking at other joint ventures that have already launched is the partners, the lending side, or the side that we're here to help with out of the gate. There was a lack of transparency. There should have been a lack of trust. The transparency created trust issues over time. Some weren't quite there with trust issues, but should have been, because what we were seeing is that the economics, weren't being shared equally.
Right.
And, as mortgage lending is already a thin margin business, as is real estate. And so, it's a transactional business. And if you can't have trust, then partnerships eventually unravel. So I think that we're as upfront as it gets in the industry. We'll share margin. We'll make sure that we educate as much as someone wants to understand our part of the business. I think that that's probably the foundation of what's different, but it's probably the part that gets looked at the least.
Sure.
Because I think that going into these, that everybody's going to tell you the positives of it, and I think that what we tend to do is we'll share some of the negatives. We'll share that it's not easy to build these things. We're building a mortgage bank, and even with a partner the size of Silver Creek, with Aaron making the investment into you and to Bluebird, and bringing the Silver Creek family into that side of the partnership, it's still work. And building a mortgage bank, you have to be very careful of, even in a market like this, as you know.
Right. Yeah.
So I think that OneTrust brings a lot of the financial acumen for that. We've navigated and built companies and the Great Recession, and we've built this company over periods that weren't optimal for origination. I think that that's a big part of what OneTrust brings to the table, from a differentiating factor that maybe gets overlooked, because those things, everybody's going to say that they do great, but those two things are what will turn this business into a 20-year partnership versus it falling apart in 2 years.
Right.
And then I think it gets to the more technical parts of the business. Is what does OneTrust have that the rest of the industry doesn't, and then how do we give those resources down to the joint ventures so that they can have the available resources that a company that has a substantially greater balance sheet, much larger, been in the business much longer. How do we give these startups, per se, how do we make them not startups by giving them resources that companies don't have that have been in the business for 20 years?
Oh, right.
And I think that's what OneTrust has done a great job as a partner, is that we're able to give you and our other partners access to products like bridge lending and construction products and all the different things that we do, and allow you to do that, and then just sell that loan up to the company so that we can utilize our balance sheet for the benefit of you and your partnership.
Right.
So I think that those are the big things. I also think we bring an expertise in certain markets, in the builder markets, and in some of these different areas of the business that I think that y'all can use to continue to grow. So we're there as a partner, an active partner, but at the end of the day, it's going to come down to you guys here in Idaho and your ability to sell why someone should work for Bluebird.
Right. Well, you talked about it earlier today when we were in a conversation about, the opportunity that we have in launching a company in what from the outside would be looked at as, probably the hardest time, we've seen in many, many years to get going with a mortgage company. So what do you think the opportunity is right now? How do we actually continue to move forward and be successful, through this kind of tough time?
I think it starts with what you've been doing and Elisa and the rest of your team and over the last year, right? As you've been learning the ins and outs of the financial side of the business.
Right.
And we launched this business, I believe, 2 months ago now?
Yep.
But really you launched it 9 months or 12 months before that, where you were looking at financials every single month as if you were a standalone company. You were asking questions. You were working with the financial team. You were working with the accounting team. You were working with me. You guys were all looking at that as if you were running the business and learning the components that allowed you to adjust your business so that you could still be profitable in times like this.
Right.
And you're not going to do incredibly well in times like this, right? Like you're a startup, but by being positive cash flow, you have more focus on being able to grow the business because the foundation when you opened it was there from the work that you put in before. So if what gave me the confidence for you to go do that is that you understood what was ahead of you.
Right. You
understood the problems of losing money. You understood all those things. And a lot of other people, when they launch businesses in any sector, and especially in mortgages, they think that I'm just going to go grab a bunch of volume. I feel like that you and Elisa have a really good understanding on why not to do that.
Right.
Growth costs money.
Yes.
Smart growth is what you need that creates reasonable returns within a shorter window of time in markets like this, so you can then reuse that same capital and get steady growth. But you can't just go and try to become the largest mortgage bank in the state of Idaho in 6 months, because you'll fail.
Right.
I think that's a big part of why you launch at a time like this, because if you can establish yourself as being able to manage a market like this, when you get into even a decent market, you guys are going to excel.
Start going.
It's going to go. And I think that building a business and bootstrapping the business to where you have to run it fiscally responsible from day one will create habits that will carry on through the rest of it. So we've always been, careful, but not afraid to launch businesses in these types of markets. And I think that you guys did the work to do it. And ultimately you made the decision.
Right.
Right. It was like, hey, this is what's in front of you.
Yeah.
You feel like you got a good control. Here's what you can and can't do and fall inside and outside. But you felt that you're ready to do it. And I think that the work you put into it gave you the ability to do it.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that that big leap, that big first step is the toughest, right? You gotta make the decision and then outwork everybody else. We've talked a lot about that. And
at what point throughout the process did you feel that you were capable of running a mortgage bank? Because I think at the beginning you're like deers in the headlights, right?
Yeah.
You're used to running a branch. You ran a successful branch. You ran it profitably. So you already had a level of fiscal responsibility, but you were only seeing a third of the picture.
Right.
So then the rest of the 2/3 opens up. At what point did you feel that you had your hands around it and that, okay, I understand in general the levers that are inside of, opening a new mortgage bank?
Geez, really good question. I think, the education, like you talked about over that course of, 9 months or even a year of really looking at what our business was, but looking at it as if it were a joint venture, a standalone mortgage company, and all of the additional expense that comes along with that.
Yeah.
That was really, once I really felt like I, had my arms around that piece. I think you mentioned it, right? There's a lot of companies out there that go out and get a lot of volume they feel like that's going to change their bottom line, and it's really getting the right volume with the ability to actually make money every single month, every single quarter, every single year, right? That fiscally responsible kind of hitting singles instead of trying to hit the home run, right? Just every day, just working at it. So I think for me, the confidence came too with the partnership we have with OneTrust and our ability to utilize the experience and the team there from a finance perspective, an HR perspective, a secondary markets, lock desk, all of those things. Like, we only had to learn how to effectively run the company, but not all the pieces of going out and getting the financing, getting the ability to actually have a warehouse line of credit where we can fund our loans, and really also understanding some of the back end pieces of, hey, that volume of that line of business that you're doing right now isn't actually very profitable. Can you shift away from that, or can you take your volume and move it from one aspect to another? Was really that piece that kind of gave us the confidence. And ultimately, I think it's also just, if you're not going to go, then why be doing this at all? I mean, you have to actually take that leap at some point and trust in yourself and our team that we know what we're doing, and we're going to do things right, and it's ultimately going to work out for us in the end. So yeah.
What was the motivation with obviously the market share that Silver Creek has here in Idaho?
Yeah.
If you do some simple math, if you have 2,000 agents closing, I don't remember what they said for their total transactions, but if you've got, the number of agents that they have, and you need to get, 10-20% of the business, what conversations did you have prior to launching to set expectations that this business can grow with Silver Creek having 17% market share or something in the state of Idaho, by just capturing that business with the value that you all can add to the agents through product, specialty structures around builders and all the other things, construction? How confident did the partnership with Silver Creek allow you to make that jump?
I think that I've been blown away by just the attitude from the executive team on down of all that we need to do to make this successful. We're going to do all those things, and we're going to be very vested. And so I think early on, I had conversations with a few different brokerages, and ultimately it led to a conversation with Aaron and with Silver Creek. And ultimately it's finding the right people. I think even more so than the size of the brokerage. I think the people that I know are with us as a true partner to make it a success. But it's also, we want it to be a standalone mortgage bank, and Silver Creek has a huge portion of that, and they're definitely a driver of a lot of that business. But it allows our loan officers, especially in a tough time right now, to have their own self-source business, but in addition to that, have the ability to have a warm introduction to a lot of those agents. So, we need to recruit, we need to add more, really good people. For us, one of the biggest pieces is we need really good people in a tough business. I mean, honestly, this is a business that you go to and you work, 8-10 hours a day. And if you're not working with the best people, it can become very difficult to stay motivated. So I think, from just a synergies of how they go about business very profitably, but also just, all in. They're into the partnership, and so are we. So I think that was a big piece of it.
Yeah. As you know, we're not as bullish as, maybe 10 years ago in the brokerage JV model, because things have changed, right?
Yeah.
You're not able to sit inside an office and, run into a few hundred agents over a course of a month at the coffee machine, or, in the kitchen, or just talking. But I think that with the amount of resources that you have at your fingertips, that very few, if any, mortgage banks, regardless of their size, have in the state of Idaho, that the faster that message, and I think that, Aaron this is one that I have a lot more confidence than others that I've shared with you previously, because Aaron's and his team are all in on it. And I think willing to get the message out there, and then it'll just be one story at a time, that you solved the problem for, the most recent loan you closed a few days ago.
Yep.
A $3.5 or something $1 million
Yeah.
bridge loan where someone was moving from Washington to
Yep.
here or something.
Yeah, we did a bridge loan that they were, trying to get into a home without having to sell their current house. So we were able to use our bridge financing to do that for them and have them not bring any money to the table for, it was $3.3 million home because of the equity they had in their current house. So, solving those issues, I think right now is the way that mortgage, loan officers and mortgage companies are going to stay relevant and stay open, to be honest.
And that can only be done by you in the state of Idaho.
Yeah, exactly.
OneTrust is not here in the retail side anymore. We've committed here to Bluebird.
Yep.
So that program is a balance sheet product of OneTrust that Bluebird has now on its in its repertoire to lend and direct lend, and you guys funded that with your own capital, and it's pretty unique. So I think it's just a matter of the more that the team at Silver Creek, that has the trust of their 2,000 agents, is able to communicate the message of that you're not just here to field phone calls, you're here to solve problems.
Right.
And to communicate the message of, for some agent that could have been, what, that $100,000 commission?
Yeah, it was a big one for sure.
So, but that could have been a non-deal.
Right.
Because that's not a problem that you can just solve.
Right.
Right. And it's just not financing that it's available. And that's just one of the many products. So I think that the more that the Silver Creek partner, Aaron and team can spread the word of that we're not here to just collect loan apps. We're here to help them grow their business. And the success stories that you're able to share like that one, I expect this to grow, significantly. And there's really no reason. I mean, the branding, I think that, got the hat on, but I can't tell you how many times that we've gotten positive feedback. It looks like you guys' branding could be a clothing company.
Right.
We've gotten incredible feedback on the efforts of your marketing team and all that stuff. I mean, there's no real reason with your branding, you're local, that you can't start off with the expectation within, a few short years of being the number one purchase-based lender in the state of Idaho.
Yeah.
And you guys are, you're homegrown. You're here in Boise. There's not many. I don't know, maybe there's one or two other local, companies based out of Idaho.
Right. Yep.
They've got obviously a lot of people have a presence here.
Sure.
But you're local. And I know that we expect to move into other states, but we're optimistic that with the partnership you have and some of the decisions Aaron's bring on opening up the opportunity so it's not just closed to Silver Creek. I think that attitude and that, that's unique. And it gives you guys the unique ability to be number one here and, in the purchase market in the years to come.
Yeah, we're very excited.
So JJ, we're sitting here in this incredible venue above the Boise football field. Somebody planned to practice during the event, so people got to watch the football team. It's a long time to be in business, 15 years. What are your thoughts on where's your 15-year anniversary going to be?
Yeah.
What are you going to be doing, and what do you think it's going to take you to get there?
Yeah, it's hard to look forward 15 years, but definitely an inspiration with what Silver Creek has done and the growth from, 40, 50 agents in that first year all the way to, a couple thousand agents now. Fast forward 15 years, I mean, I definitely would love for us to be the biggest Idaho-based, mortgage bank in the state and potentially surrounding states as well. And really adding, the ability to help more and more people every day. I think that, it's hard to put a number on it, but probably a couple $2 billion mortgage bank 15 years from now would be a definite success and a goal. And I guess, where do we party? I mean, right back here would be pretty special, I think, for sure.
Yeah, it's a great venue, and it's doable. Obviously, there's been very big companies built in that window, but I think sticking to what the goal is here, it being boutique and still grounded and not trying to prioritize growth and over success and helping more people. I could definitely see you being a multi-billion-dollar mortgage bank, maybe the largest bank in the Pacific Northwest. Would be a great be a great success. But we're here to help you along the way.
Awesome, thanks.
JJ, obviously you just launched 2 months ago.
Yep.
Got the heavy lifting of the launch is in general done.
Right.
A year and a half or 2 years in planning or whatever it was. Obviously, a year in refining, and then you launch.
Yep.
What is the goal for the next 12 months realistic goals and what is probably to continue to be for the better part of that a difficult market.
Yep.
What are the goals of Bluebird Home Loans looking towards November of 2024? What would you like to say you've accomplished by this time next year?
Yeah, I think the one of our biggest goals in the next 12 months, honestly, is to have a conversation with every single one of the Silver Creek agents to show them how we can make their business better with various products that we have, whether it be bridge financing, portfolio financing, construction lending, how to help them put transactions together right now. And honestly, we need growth from a origination side, not only every opportunity we can to help their buyers, but also to recruit loan officers that they feel have the same mindset that we do. We want to have solid growth. We want to have the growth mindset and really helping our individual buyers day to day. We'd love to talk to those loan officers because honestly, we have a small group of us now. We can't have conversations with 1,500, 1,800, 2,000 agents over 12 months. We need another 10 or so loan officers in the next year, and we want the best of the best. So I think from here to next year, we want to be hitting a $20 to $25 million a month. And that's a big jump from where we're at today. And I think we can do it with the help from the Silver Creek agents, in addition to finding the right loan officers to add to the team with good self-sourced business that can match up with what they can be helping with those Silver Creek agents.
Yeah, I think it'll be important for your success stories that you shared earlier around getting an agent, assuming it was a 3% commission, $100,000 commission on a transaction that might not have happened.
Yeah.
I think it's, I think that your success of getting that business once they know that you're looking to help them, and it's not just a one-way street where
Totally.
we're looking for all of your pre-quals, where it turns into a partnership. And, I think most agents don't understand that there's a value in a partnership in lending. There's a lot of, especially in markets like this. I'm hopeful that when other loan officers in your market understand the resources that you have available day one, you're not a startup,
right?
You are, but you're not.
Yep.
You have 10 years of what was built at OneTrust Home Loans, which we have some of the largest relationships in the country, that we get business from. You have the backing of us and support. And I think it's important that the loan officers here get that message as well, maybe through the Silver Creek agents or just through, our methods of reaching out to them to let them know that this isn't a startup. This doesn't come with the same risks that another mortgage bank does.
Right.
And I think by putting together, the A team of loan officers throughout the country, like you talk about, and then using that growing team to talk to more and more agents while centralizing the message so that you keep messages flowing from throughout the country of what's working and what you can do to help grow their business and how you create deals, as you talk about. We would hope that, and it doesn't always happen, but we would hope that if you show that value at times when times are tough, that value is reciprocated, right? Like, totally. You're not going to always be able to hand the buyers to the realtors.
Nope.
We don't have that ability. We're usually later in the process, but we can help them go find those buyers, right? We can give them the tools to do it and unique products to do it. And I think if we can communicate that message and we can get the buy-in of a big chunk of the Silver Creek agents that see a value in partnership, and hopefully many of them that participated today can get a better understanding that it is a partnership.
Totally.
But it's a different type of partnership. We can't just hand you a buyer, but we can hand you the knowledge and processes to go do it yourself for a more sustainable business.
For sure.
And hopefully loan officers also see a lot of this because their companies aren't able to do that.
Yeah.
And that they can come in and say, I want to be on the ground level of growing the largest mortgage bank in the state of Idaho. Right. And then I want to be participating in that expansion in outside states.
Totally.
You have something special.
Yeah.
And I think it's just a matter of, people understanding that, we're all kind of doing and selling some of the same products, but there's differences of every single mortgage bank, and Bluebird is different.
Right.
And I think that a lot of the other companies are very vanilla right now. They're trying to do these different things that aren't actually creating transactions, and hopefully that, we can convince those loan officers to come join and
right.
be part of that A team that we talked about.
Yeah.